Update Fire and Ice is around the corner, and with it carries a new subtree of the existing Swedish tech tree, the Finns. The original complaint when shown on the dev server was that these are almost exclusively existing vehicles that moved to the Swedish tech tree and given new camos. Since then, unique vehicles have been added like the T55M, although this vehicle is in its most preliminary stage, using the T55A model and still lacking its ammunition. It's expected to receive the Belgian Mikar 100mm APFSDS at good pensum 380mm of armor, 3000 yards. And while not yet in the files, the BT-42 is also expected to make a debut, being mentioned in the dev blog introducing the nation. Now, the Finnish tech tree is a special one because as a subtree, it wasn't introduced with only ground vehicles. A whole line of Finnish aircraft was also introduced, represented by some iconic aircraft like the Bf-109G and the MiG-21 BIS. However, none of these aircraft are unique. Though I believe the MiG-21 BIS will likely not receive the R-60, as an assessment in 1989 showed that the MiG-21 BIS was only using the R-3R and R-3M missiles in Finnish service. Though I won't be complaining, the R-13M sacrifices one good thing about the R-60, its maneuverability, and introduces the range and speed of the AIM-9J or AIM-9G, whichever you prefer it is. There are technically new vehicles like the B-239, which is an F-2A Buffalo that was reworked for land operations, and the Bf-109G2, which is not new per se, but is the first tech tree non-trop G2 in the game. The other non-trop 109 G2s were the Hungarian and the Romanian G2. The way this update was introduced was what you'd consider rushed. Our resident data miner, GC Sabi, made an excellent spreadsheet on the time between the first devlog of the next update and the release of the teaser. The average time between the first devlog and the teaser is about 1 or 2 weeks. However, Fire and Ice is 1 day. Fuso showed up Wednesday, and by Thursday, we had the teaser. Friday, we have the dev stream, and the dev server is open. This is a process that takes about at least a month or 3 weeks, condensed into 1 week. Naturally, the amount of content reflects the speed in which it was put out, with the dev stream and dev server basically coming up empty, so they had to resort to using the Battle Pass vehicles, which aren't officially part of the update, as fluff for content. During the dev stream, the Tor M1 model was also presented in a very early state, basically an empty, incomplete 3D model. Hell, the missiles were still blue. Then there is also the issue of the dev server. The new dev server system is that instead of multiple dev servers over 2 or 3 weekends, we have one long dev server with continuous updates of content. This happened in the Drone Age update and is being carried over today. And while it would be fine if the dev servers were significantly upgraded over time, the issue with Fire and Ice is that it isn't. Over the 5 days the dev server was up, only one new vehicle was made available, the TKX prototype, and the rest were stuck in CDK hell. Behind the scenes, we saw the Q5L get updated but not implemented in the dev server. The T55M, as I said, in its most basic, and vehicles like the HMS Diana and HMS Glorious, USS Fargo and USS Frank Knox, and many more. Many vehicles in the previous update were also kept from the dev server before the update went live. This prevents players from assessing the vehicle and to spot bugs or possible effects on the matchmaker. But, even then, I guess it's not useful, because Gaijin doesn't listen to the feedback and keeps aircraft like the Harrier GR1 at 9.3, Su-25 at 9.7, and A-10s at 9.7 on the live server, but at least it's nice to be able to assess these vehicles before they pop out. The update also exacerbates a lot of issues Gaijin has been struggling with over the year. The T3 Early is another one of those early variants released to distinguish the plane from the grossly similar Tech Tree variant. This is the only aircraft that Japan got in over a year. Another issue is lack of additions to the Israeli tree. Since Winged Lions, Israel has had 2 aircraft added. The French premium F-84F moved to that tree, and the Kefir C-2, an event vehicle. Now it seems they're doubling down on the strike drones, with the Orion being allowed to carry laser and TV-guided bombs. The drones had more work done on them than the Japanese air tree got in about a year. So it really makes you think. Instead of addressing these issues by adding, I don't know, actual good planes for these nations like the FST-2 for Japan with AIM-9Ps to act like as the A5C counterpart for Japan. But for Israel, however, that involves me telling you why the F-16A Block 5 is enough for the meta, and that's not a can of worms I'm ready to open just yet. But expect it though, cause we're getting there. I really hope that a subtree isn't Gaijin's escape button when they're running out of stuff to add. The unique vehicles feel like leftovers of vehicles they finished at least last year and are just implementing them for content. I understand that planning for the 10th anniversary or planning content for War Thunder in general is a very complicated and arduous process and is taking up your resources, but it might have been better to have pushed back these updates at least a few more weeks to allow the content to stew in development first. Is it really worth it having 5 major updates per year if 1 or 2 of those updates are just contractual updates and they just put out whatever to satisfy the requirement? I don't think so. If reducing the amount of major updates yearly means that we get more in terms of quality, I think that's a good trade-off. But as it stands, we're sticking to the 5 updates per year, and all I ask is to allow the new content to come out complete rather than rushed and just completed as the update is live. That leaves room for a lot of error in the live update, which in turn causes more problems for the game, as if there isn't enough. That's just my 2 cents. It's one of my criticisms of this update. I really am so underwhelmed with this update. Either way, I look forward to the developments of this update and what Gaijin has in store for their 10th anniversary. Thanks for watching, and thank you for 2,000 subscribers. It means the world to me that you're supporting this channel, and I'll post my 2,000 subscriber special video when I get around to it. This has been the Dr. MD. Godspeed.